Vaughn, I'll start with you. 8 people dead and the gunman. I think it's worth noting what the mayor said at the end of that press conference. He reminded us all that the 8 victims were essential workers. These were folks who were operating light rail, who were driving buses to get people to and from work every day. Give us a sense of the scene where you are right now.
Yeah, we also know that this was a sustained attack over the course of at least several minutes, because we know from this latest press conference now that not only did Santa Clara Sheriff's deputies enter the scene, but also San Jose Police Department officers also entered the scene as the active shooting was taking place. There were bullets that were still flying when they entered this scene. We know that 8 individuals, 8 victims, 8 employees of the Valley Transportation Authority are dead. We also know that there is at least 1 individual in critical condition at a Santa Clara medical facility just 4.5 miles from where this shooting took place. We know that this shooting took place about 6:30 this morning. And we also know that authorities are now looking at a home down the road in San Jose that caught fire this morning, in which it's believed that there are explosive devices inside of that home that may be connected to, may belong to the shooter, this male shooter involved here this morning. We also know that this is still an active scene where the shooting took place at the rail yard. We know that the bomb dog sniffed out an explosive device this morning at one particular facility at this Valley Transportation rail yard. That area is still cordoned off as they are trying to identify the extent to which explosive devices remain on scene. Authorities did not say whether the individual, that shooter, this male shooter, was connected to those explosive devices, but the scene evacuated, in which at least dozens of Valley Transportation Authority employees were evacuated. But I think, again, just to underscore the extent to which this was a sustained attack, apparently, here this morning, in which sheriff's deputies and San Jose Police Department officers arrived as this was still an active scene, an active shooting situation. There are still questions over whether this Valley Transportation Authority employee, the extent to which he was targeting individuals. We do not know that. What led to this moment, we do not know that here. But it's important to put into perspective, when you're looking at these aerial shots here, where this is. This is the heart of San Jose, which is just south of the Bay, just 8 miles from the Apple headquarters, 12 miles from the Google headquarters. This is a very diverse community. This is a very dense community with all sorts of population centers here. This is a rail yard for workers to work on the light rail. The Valley Transportation Authority of Santa Clara, this is the authority that oversees public transportation, the bus system, the rail system, and also Northern California's components of the Caltrain. What we know here is that there are at least several hundred workers that work at this facility, according to Congressman Ro Khanna, who represents this district. Just how many were on site is still a question that is outstanding, but we do know that there were at least dozens of individuals that bared witness to their colleagues being killed this morning, at least 8 victims, plus the shooter here dead this morning on site in the heart of San Jose. Jeff.
NBC News Justice correspondent Pete Williams is with us now. And Pete, as I understand it, you have new information about the gunman. Tell us what you've learned.
Well, several law enforcement officials have told NBC News that the person who carried out the shooting today was a VTA employee. Now, the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office has said that much, that it was a VTA employee, but the name we're given is Samuel Cassidy. We're told that he's a fairly long-time employee at this facility. And the other thing that emerged from the news conference is that clearly this was not some spontaneous event if it turns out that explosive devices were planted before this shooting happened. And then there's the question of the fire at the other facility, which apparently was set before the shooting. At least that's the information we have from the initial calls to the fire department. Now, why this happened and specifically where on the facility it happened, we don't know. There had been some reports that there was a union meeting this morning and that's where this started. That might account for the large number of people who were shot if they were all in a confined space. And the other thing we don't know, Jeff, is what kind of weapon this person was carrying. But authorities obviously are now trying to dig into his background, trying to find relatives and family members and talk to other employees about what might have been going on that led up to this. But there's a lot of work here yet to do. The FBI has forensic people on the ground. They'll be helping to try to reconstruct the scene. That is a long and painstaking process.